Have you ever woken up already exhausted before your feet even touch the floor? Do you ever feel like you're silently drowning in noise, pressure, and expectations no one else sees? What if the reason you feel weak is because you've been bleeding energy into things that never deserved it? Welcome to Stoic Bridge, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life, guiding you through life's storms with calm and resilience. Now, lean in, because this moment right here isn't just the start of a video, it's the edge of something deeper, something real. I know what it's like to wake up and feel like life is already trying to knock you out before you've even had the chance to stand. Your soul already tired, the weight of invisible demands pressing on your chest, expectations, performances, smiles that don't reach your eyes, thoughts that echo louder than any voice in the room. You lie there, eyes open, yet paralyzed, dreading a day that hasn't even begun. That feeling, that quiet storm raging inside your chest, yeah, I know it well. It doesn't scream, it strangles. That's the battlefield I lived on till I found Stoicism. And no, not the polished, poetic version quoted on Instagram. I found it as a weapon, a shield. The final line of defense between myself and the chaos I had allowed to pitch tents inside my mind. This wasn't a quote on a wall. It was war. A declaration that my mind was no longer a playground for stress, guilt, or false peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not a quote. That's a sword. That's a man who commanded armies while fighting storms no one else could see. And he reminds us, your peace isn't free. It's not meant to be handed out like a flyer. It's earned, and it's guarded. This journey we're about to take together, it's not for people who want tips. It's for those ready for a reckoning. We're not floating through 5 fluffy ideas. We're diving headfirst into 5 brutal truths that will force you to reclaim what's always been yours. Your energy. These truths are raw. They're carved in scars, tempered in fire, and laced with stoic grit. If you've been waking up tired, feeling scattered, living like a ghost in your own life, this isn't because you're broken. It's because you've been drained. And starting today, we're taking that energy back. But before we begin, I want you to do something intentional, not robotic. Not routine. Hit that like button like you're punching the ground, refusing to stay down. Then drop this in the comments. I am the master of my energy. Say it like you own it, and share this with someone you know, someone who's barely holding it together behind a perfectly composed face. Finally, subscribe, because what's coming next isn't just content, it's fire. A direct shock to the system meant to awaken everything you forgot you were capable of. Now close your eyes for just a second. Breathe in deep. Behind you is the storm. Ahead is a path wild, uncertain, but finally yours. Feel it? Good. Let's begin. 1. Cut off the leaks. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a war. It feels like a slow drain. Like you're a bucket with a crack in the bottom, losing a little more of yourself each day, until one morning you wake up and realize the fire is gone. Energy isn't always stolen, it's surrendered, bit by bit, through choices that seem harmless at first. You didn't get ambushed, you got worn down. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not a dramatic collapse. It's quiet, subtle, a tiny compromise here, an ignored instinct there. And suddenly, you're on your knees, hollowed out, wondering where the strength went. You didn't lose your power. You leaked it. Each time you said yes when your body screamed no. Each time you swallowed your truth to keep someone else comfortable. Each time you reached for peace at the cost of your self-respect, that's when it slipped away. It's not the single punch that breaks you, it's the 1,000 little cuts. That one text you shouldn't have replied to. That room you walked into knowing it would shrink you. That person you held on to even after they proved unworthy. You nodded with a clenched jaw. You stayed calm while your spirit screamed. That's not strength. That's silent self-betrayal. And when your soul no longer feels at home, you wonder why. It's because you kept trying to protect peace that was never real. Because people didn't ask how you were. They just kept taking. And you kept giving until your energy belonged more to them than to you. The hardest truth? You let them. You showed them your wounds. You handed them the blade. You opened the gates and invited chaos to settle in. They called it love. They smiled as they drained you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it, and it is in your power to wipe out this judgment." That's not just philosophy, it's survival. You suffer not because of the chaos, but because of what you let in. You bleed because you give weight to things that were never worthy of your energy. You're not exhausted, you're overextended, you're not lost, you're buried under noise, and your spirit isn't broken. It's suffocating beneath all the false obligations you kept agreeing to out of fear. You're leaking, not because you're weak, but because you forgot to lock the doors to the parts of your life that were draining you dry. So cut off the access, completely, ruthlessly, silently. Let the doors slam. Let the silence stretch. Let your absence echo louder than your words ever could. You don't owe explanations. You don't need closure. You don't need permission. Your silence will say more than any message ever will. You are not a well for the ungrateful, not a charger for the emotionally lazy, not a crutch for the ones who refuse to walk on their own. You are fire, you are steel, you are sacred ground. And not everyone deserves to stand on you. Cut off the leaks. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. Because every drop of energy you waste on the wrong people is stolen from the man you were meant to become. And if you're ready to meet that man, then it's time to move on to the next truth. 2. Your attention is your kingdom. Imagine this. You're standing in a vast kingdom, your mind. You built the walls, you laid the foundation, and yet strangers, noise, distractions, they're wandering your halls like they own the place. That's what happens when your attention is unguarded. Your attention isn't just mental space, it's your life force. It's the currency of your existence. What you give your attention to, you give your life to. It really is that simple. Every glance, every thought, every scroll, every click, it all adds up. And when you look around and feel drained, lost in a life that doesn't even feel like yours, don't be surprised. You've been handing out access like candy. That TikTok video, that endless argument in your group chat, that rabbit hole you fell into at 2 a.m., that wasn't harmless. That was a throne dropped, a crown handed over, and you didn't even notice. Your attention is gold in a world starved for meaning. And every company, every screen, every voice shouting for your focus, they know it. They want your gold. They want your kingdom. But you weren't made to be ruled. You were made to reign. The truth is, you don't lose focus in one big crash. It chips away. Notification by notification, drama by drama, doom scroll by doom scroll. One moment you're thinking about your goals. The next, you're arguing with a stranger online about something that doesn't even matter. One moment you're grounded in your body. The next, you're a ghost. Wandering through noise that was never yours. Trapped in a digital maze. Built to distract. Designed to addict. Crafted to keep your soul starving while feeding you nothing. And you wonder why you're tired. You wonder why your clarity evaporates just when you need it most. You wonder why you feel like you're slipping, always behind, always scattered. It's not because you're lazy, not because you lack drive. It's because your mind is no longer yours. It's been hijacked not by villains in the dark, but by the slow poison of wasted attention. Seneca once wrote, "There is nothing the busy man is less busy with than living." That line, that's the dagger, that's the mirror. You can fill your entire calendar and never actually live. You can chase every alert, answer every message, react to every crisis, and forget what it means to breathe, to build, to lead yourself. You don't owe your attention to every headline, every trending topic, every person who demands a reply. You don't need to be available. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to keep up. In fact, the more you turn inward, the more your vision sharpens. What the world calls missing out, you'll call freedom. What they call rude, you'll call peace. So lock the gates, draw the line. If it doesn't build you, it's breaking you. If it doesn't lift your vision, it's lowering your power. Every careless click is a detour. Every scroll is a vote against your mission. Every irrelevant conversation is a withdrawal from your soul's account. Your attention is energy, and energy is everything. So guard it, with teeth, with silence, with unapologetic focus. Rip it back, cut off the noise, turn your phone off without guilt, leave messages on read without shame. Let them think what they want while you build in silence. Your future won't be shaped by how many likes you get. It will be shaped by how locked in you are, how obsessed, how precise, how intentional. They chase your attention because they know its power. The more they have, the less you do. Algorithms are built to keep you chasing. Apps are designed to keep you scrolling. But you weren't born to be fed crumbs by machines. You were born for war. And focus, that is your sword. Your attention is your kingdom. And in the end, you're either the ruthless king defending it or the servant handing out the keys. So choose wisely, because what you focus on, you fuel. And what you fuel becomes your fate. 3. Stop explaining yourself. There comes a point, not loud, not dramatic, but sharp and certain, when you realize this truth. Your energy is not up for debate. It's not a currency to be bartered in conversations where people never intended to understand you anyway. You've spent too many moments breaking yourself down into smaller pieces just to be digestible for those who had no intention of truly listening. You weren't born to be a press release. You weren't sent here to perform, to be trialed in the court of others' opinions, or to justify your every move like you owe receipts for your spirit. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't respect you, you bleed a little. You try to justify why you pulled back, why you set that boundary, why you didn't reply, why your energy didn't match their dysfunction. And in every word, your power seeps out. But here's the shift. You're not rude. You're not arrogant. You're not cold. You're clear. And clarity terrifies those who depend on confusion to keep control. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you protect your soul. You don't have to explain why you said no, why you left the room, why you pulled your light back. If your silence bothers them, it's because it echoes louder than any words ever could. People who respect themselves don't chase validation. They don't need applause. They don't need agreement. They move forward and let the results speak for them. Epictetus said it best: if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. Simply say, "He clearly didn't know the rest of my flaws, or he would have mentioned those too." That's not just confidence, that's control. That's sovereignty of spirit. You don't need to shrink so others can stay comfortable in their false narratives. You don't need to explain truth to people addicted to lies. Let them choke on their assumptions. You've got empires to build. Every explanation is a trade-off. Every argument is a tax on your energy. And the people who demand the most explanations, they're usually the ones who never intended to believe you in the first place. They're not listening. They're collecting ammo. And you've been handing them the bullets. Stop. Start walking in silence. Let your absence speak. Let your stillness be the response. If your presence is questioned, let your distance become the answer. If your boundaries are tested, reinforce them with calm action, not noise. No apologies, no justification, just truth in motion. You are not a debate. You are not a public service announcement. You are not here to be molded by the projections of people who refuse to look inward. You are not a customer service rep for your own spirit. You don't owe closure to chaos. You don't owe softness to manipulation. You don't owe understanding to those who never offered it back. Let them chew on the silence. Let them sit with the echo of your non-response. Let them wonder why you disappeared. And let them never get the answer. Because the moment you stop explaining is the moment you start reclaiming. Reclaiming your energy, your boundaries, your peace, your power. Your energy is not a negotiation, it's a declaration. And when you finally make peace with being misunderstood, you become untouchable. 4. Master your mornings. Picture this, a battlefield, but not one of noise, traffic, or chaos. No, this one is silent, still, and yet it's the most important one you'll ever step into. It's your morning. And that's where the war for your energy begins. Not when the emails start flooding in, not when the notifications ping, not when the world starts shouting. It begins with your first breath, in that quiet space between sleep and the noise of the world. Right there, before your feet even touch the ground, your future is already forming. Your morning isn't just a routine, it's a forge, furnace, a sacred ritual where your energy, clarity, and momentum are either sculpted into steel or shattered like glass. You don't wake up strong by accident. You don't rise with purpose by default. That power, you train for it. You build it in silence. And it all begins the second your eyes open. But if the first thing you reach for is your phone, you've already lost the throne. You've handed your mind over before you've even stood up. You've allowed strangers to enter your head, let headlines hijack your emotions, and welcomed chaos into the peace that was meant to be yours. You can't lead your day if you start it as a servant, scrolling, reacting, consuming. Your mind wasn't designed for chaos. It was built for clarity. And clarity is earned in the quiet. The strength of your day doesn't come from what you do when others are watching. It comes from what you do when the world is still sleeping. How you breathe in the dark, how you sit with the thoughts you usually avoid, how you plant your flag before the world plants its demands on you. Morning is the moment when you get to say, "Today I run this show." Not my cravings, not my fears, not my past. Me. That one decision made before the world wakes up sets the tone for everything that follows. The Stoics knew this. Discipline wasn't a motivational catchphrase. It was armor. It was sacred. Marcus Aurelius would rise and whisper to himself, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. To think, to enjoy, to love. Not out of sweetness, out of strategy. Because the man who commands his morning builds his own weather. Storms don't shake him, people don't rattle him. He's already carved his clarity in the stillness before the noise. But when you wake up late, skip your rituals, and rush into the day as if it already owns you, don't be surprised when life chews you up and spits you back out. You're not grounded. You're scattered, and scattered men don't lead. They chase, they panic, they fall. You want clarity? Earn it. Sit in the silence, write, reflect, move with purpose, breathe like your life depends on it, because it does. This isn't a wellness trend, it's a survival tactic in a world built to distract and dismantle you. Your morning is the only part of your day where the world hasn't infected you yet. Guard it like a wolf guards its den. Create that space. Strengthen your mind before the world tries to fracture it. Move your body before the day weighs it down. Center your breath before the whirlwind begins. This isn't luxury, it's non-negotiable. If you plan to lead your life with fire, you don't master your mornings because it's trendy. You master them because they sharpen your edge, quiet your demons, and set a fire burning so strong nothing outside you can put it out. You don't need a 5-hour routine. You need a promise to yourself. Something sacred, something that strengthens your spine before the world tries to bend it. So wake up early. Wake up hungry. Wake up like a man who knows he has work to do, not just out there, but in here. Because if you don't command your mornings, the world will. And the world doesn't care about your peace. It wants your focus, your energy, your soul. Rip it back. Your power is forged not in the meetings, not in the gym, not in battle, but in the quiet, in the stillness, in the war you win before the world even knows you're awake. 5. Stop giving first-class energy to economy people. There's a special kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from hard work, but from pouring your brilliance into hands that never knew how to hold it. You're not tired because of what you're doing. You're tired because of who you're doing it for. You're running yourself into the ground, bleeding your light into people who treat your fire like it's a cheap lighter they picked up at a gas station. You keep showing up full of conviction, full of presence, for people who show up empty, people who were never built to hold your intensity, people made of ash, not iron. And deep down, you know something's off. The burnout isn't from the grind, it's from being invisible to the ones you're constantly showing up for. You give the best hours of your day, the sharpest parts of your mind, the softest corners of your heart to people who wouldn't even cross the street if you were drowning. You keep pouring loyalty into those who disappear the moment your glow dims. You explain your heart to cowards. You beg for kindness from people emotionally bankrupt. You build castles, but they keep bringing wrecking balls, and it's destroying you. Stop. Your soul wasn't built for discounts. Your time isn't a clearance rack. Your energy isn't a vending machine that hands out warmth to anyone who presses a button with a smile. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Let that sink in. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you distant. Let them choke on your silence, because silence offends those who used to feed on your attention. And that's how you know it's working. You keep trying to save the ungrateful, but you were never their savior. You were their supply, their emotional crutch, their emergency contact, their punching bag gift wrapped in politeness. And every time you say yes to them, you say no to your peace. Every time you hold back, soften your truth, sacrifice your clarity, they don't change. They grow bolder. You're not helping, you're enabling, you're participating in your own erosion. It's time to burn the bridge, not for revenge, but for resurrection. You walk away. No message, no explanation, no dramatic exit. Just cold silence and a door that never opens again. When someone drains you repeatedly, they don't deserve closure. They deserve distance. The kind that echoes. You weren't born to water dead plants. You weren't created to be milked dry by people who dress their entitlement up as need. Start giving to those who give back. Start guarding your peace like your future depends on it, because it does. The wrong people won't just waste your time, they'll warp your self-worth, sabotage your progress, and leave your spirit bleeding in places where no one is even looking. So take a brutal inventory. Who are you feeding? Who's always at your table? Who texts you at 2 a.m.? Who makes you feel guilty for protecting your own peace? And then ask yourself, would they bleed for you like you've bled for them? Or would they step over your body without flinching? Your energy is sacred ground. Not everyone should be allowed to walk on it. And the more you let the unworthy in, the more you teach them that your soul is cheap. Stop giving first-class fire to people flying standby in your life. Let them miss the flight, and never let them board again. 5. Stop giving first-class energy to economy people. There's a special kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from hard work, but from pouring your brilliance into hands that never knew how to hold it. You're not tired because of what you're doing. You're tired because of who you're doing it for. You're running yourself into the ground, bleeding your light into people who treat your fire like it's a cheap lighter they picked up at a gas station. You keep showing up full of conviction, full of presence, for people who show up empty, people who were never built to hold your intensity, people made of ash, not iron. And deep down, you know something's off. The burnout isn't from the grind, it's from being invisible to the ones you're constantly showing up for. You give the best hours of your day, the sharpest parts of your mind, the softest corners of your heart, to people who wouldn't even cross the street if you were drowning. You keep pouring loyalty into those who disappear the moment your glow dims. You explain your heart to cowards. You beg for kindness from people emotionally bankrupt. You build castles, but they keep bringing wrecking balls, and it's destroying you. Stop. Your soul wasn't built for discounts. Your time isn't a clearance rack. Your energy isn't a vending machine that hands out warmth to anyone who presses a button with a smile. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Let that sink in. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you distant. Let them choke on your silence. Because silence offends those who used to feed on your attention. And that's how you know it's working. You keep trying to save the ungrateful, but you were never their savior. You were their supply, their emotional crutch, their emergency contact, their punching bag gift wrapped in politeness. And every time you say yes to them, you say no to your peace. Every time you hold back, soften your truth, sacrifice your clarity, they don't change. They grow bolder. You're not helping, you're enabling, you're participating in your own erosion. It's time to burn the bridge, not for revenge, but for resurrection. You walk away, no message, no explanation, no dramatic exit, just cold silence and a door that never opens again. When someone drains you repeatedly, they don't deserve closure. They deserve distance. The kind that echoes. You weren't born to water dead plants. You weren't created to be milked dry by people who dress their entitlement up as need. Start giving to those who give back. Start guarding your peace like your future depends on it. Because it does. The wrong people won't just waste your time. They'll warp your self-worth, sabotage your progress, and leave your spirit bleeding in places where no one is even looking. So take a brutal inventory. Who are you feeding? Who's always at your table? Who texts you at 2 a.m.? Who makes you feel guilty for protecting your own peace? And then ask yourself, would they bleed for you like you've bled for them? Or would they step over your body without flinching? Your energy is sacred ground. Not everyone should be allowed to walk on it. And the more you let the unworthy in, the more you teach them that your soul is cheap. Stop giving first-class fire to people flying standby in your life. Let them miss the flight and never let them board again. If there's one truth to carry with you after this video, let it be this. Your energy is your most powerful weapon. Not time, not resources, not luck. It's your energy that fuels clarity, movement, and transformation. It's the silent force behind every breakthrough, every decision, every boundary you hold firm. Forget watching the clock. You don't need more hours in the day. You need clean, fierce, undiluted energy. Because when your energy is sharp, you stop reacting and start choosing. Time may slip through your fingers, but energy, that's something you can command. And once you do, everything begins to shift. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. But mastery doesn't come from apps, checklists, or empty motivational posts. It starts in the dirt, in the choices you make daily, in what you tolerate, what you consume, what you allow into your headspace. It starts by saying no. No to energy thieves. No to habits that dim your light. No to anything that doesn't align with your higher self. You must protect your peace like a lion guarding its territory. Because once it's breached, chaos creeps in, quietly, consistently. But when your energy is clean, your vision clears, your actions sharpen, your presence shifts the room, and those who once tried to drain you, they fall silent. Not because you silenced them, but because you stopped handing them the mic. That's how power returns. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered today. You learned how to seal the leaks, to stop bleeding energy through invisible wounds. You discovered why attention is your kingdom and why guarding it is the beginning of sovereignty. You stopped explaining yourself because silence is strength, not weakness. You reclaimed your mornings as sacred ground where discipline becomes your daily weapon. And finally, you learned to stop giving first-class fire to people who only bring smoke. If this message struck something deep inside you, drop a comment below. Tell me which part hit hardest, because I want to hear your shift, your fire, your fight. And if you're walking this stoic path with intention, like, share, and subscribe. Because we're not just consuming content, we're forging clarity, building a community rooted in power, focus, and unshakable will. Your energy is sacred, so stop giving out discounts. See you in the next one. Stay grounded, stay powerful, stay stoic.